All right, ladies and gentlemen, introducing you to this bout. We do it in the welterweight division. We fight 3x5 minute rounds. This one sponsored by Q-State Electrical. Introducing to you first, standing across in the blue corner, weighed in officially 77.55 kilos. From Osaka, Japan, trained out of the Paraestra Tenma gym, brings to Australia a professional fight record of 4 fights, 3 wins and just the 1 loss. Give it up, this is Tsubasa Morii! And his opponent standing across in the red corner. He tipped the scales, ripped and ready to go, 77.05 kilos. From Townsville in Queensland, trained out of the Courage Training Centre. His record to date, 4 fights, 3 wins, just the 1 loss. Give it up, this is Jack Third man in the cage, Thomas Churchill.
This fight brought to you by Q-State Electrical, your one-stop shop for residential and commercial electrical. No job is too big or too small, as Jack James and Tsubasa Morii head into the cage here tonight. And immediately you can see the size of Morii. Jack James being a former middleweight. Look at the size of Morii.
Absolutely.
He's got that huge frame and he knows how to use it fighting on the outside particularly.
He's quite rangy, especially with that lead hand, and he uses it to usually place people against the cage, but just then unsuccessful because Jack James knows where he wants to take it and it's going straight to the ground.
Yeah, he makes no bones about it, does it, Jaden Biddy? I mean, he gets a hold of that leg as soon as he gets Morii to throw.
Yeah, I've trained with Jack a little bit, and he's very good on the fence. This body lock is not where Morii wants to be. Jack's going to look to drag him down, and then he's just going to start dropping elbows on his face for 5 minutes.
It's been the MO with him, hasn't he? He drags him to the ground, no flash in it at all, zaps the gas tank, makes them concede positions, and then rains those elbows down.
It's funny because we were a little bit gaslit in the first couple of seconds. The boys were trading leg kicks. We thought for a second there maybe Jack's going to stay there, but absolutely not. He's on the back. He's already got floored Morii twice within a minute 20, so it'll be exciting to see where this goes.
Yeah, this first round already got his fingerprints all over it. But Tsubasa Morii fighting out of the Paraestra Tenma gym in Osaka, Japan. I mean, they got him in the corner. They seem very, very composed, and so does Morii himself.
Absolutely. For someone who hasn't trained for a very long time, he's got great presence and composure within his fighting. I guess that's maybe a testament to how active he's been in such a short amount of time.
Yeah, absolutely has to be a consideration.
Terrible spot for Morii to be right now. Jack James threatening the neck while also just sitting on the back and pitter-pattering.
It's almost all upside, this position, isn't it, Jaden?
Yeah, absolutely. You can see Jack's just gotten that wrist right on Morii's wrist here, so he's just going to get flattened out, and it makes it almost impossible to stand back up because you pretty much can't free your wrist when you're butted up against the fence like that.
100%. It's almost become that spiral ride position, doesn't it? He's got the leg on one side, the handcuff on the other. Just a terrible position here. And there's no beautiful jiu-jitsu type escape from here, is there? It's almost like explode, get something back, get the leg back, get the wrist back.
Absolutely. Morii could look to limp arm his arm backwards, but it's going to be hard when Jack forces him up against the cage, so that escape is not there, and basically he's limited to choosing to get beat up.
Crush control just gives you such good dominance on both sides of the body. It makes it extremely hard to posture, get your balance behind you, get your mid-center back again. And as you can tell, Morii's really struggling to find a solution to this problem.
I'll tell you what, he hasn't stopped moving though.
Double hooks in for Jack here.
Dangerous. Oh, that is under the chin.
Morii struggling.
Jack James doing Jack James things. It looks like Morii is just willing to go out here because that is under the chin. We can see a little bit of the hand, so it's not completely under. Jack James, right as I said that, he cinches that back up. Is it just will that is keeping Morii in this fight?
I think he might just have an inkling of his chin in there, which is just saving him, but it won't for much longer. It's only so long you can stand in a position like this, and there's nowhere else to go but a worse and deeper position.
Wow, having a specialist like Jack do this to you, you can see how deep that arm is.
Morii doing the right thing and at least trying to secure one of those two arms.
That was the response of Jack James. He saw both hands go down the post and immediately he just went for the neck.
Oh, this is almost going to fatigue Jack and make him give up on this position, even though it seems extremely close.
Morii just not giving up.
Came to Australia to win, that's for damn sure.
His first international outing, and he said as much, Janae. He's making the most of this trip, and he's shown the spirit that he will do exactly that by not getting tapped out by the black belt, Jack James.
It's definitely not a better position, but it looks like he's thinking about the option of exposing back to his back and getting under the mount. Jack doesn't want any bar of that, and he knows that he's going to have much more success on his back here. 10 seconds left in this first round.
It's like Jack James has got Velcro on him. He sort of just takes the places where he wants to be. Even when you move around, he just hangs there.
He's got great connections with his back control especially.
Morii breathing deeply, but he doesn't look too phased. I mean, you kind of expect it. You're coming into a fight on international soil. You're fighting a guy who's had a couple finishes in a row all on the ground. You've got to expect that at some point he might get you into these positions. And that's exactly what Jack James did. So we're looking here in the clinch. He just perfectly times that trip, almost effortless. And that was the story of the first round. He got Morii where he wanted him. He had that spiral ride for a bit and that handcuff where he was able to fire those strikes. He sunk that choke in, but there was just enough room, as you alluded to, Janae, that Morii could stick it out.
Jack James has definitely avenued his grappling game to just be pristine for MMA. Such great control and holding these positions and doing enough damage and submission attempts to keep you on your toes at all times.
He's done exactly that, and he will look to continue to do that and more as they enter the striking exchange in round number 2. Oh, beautiful time shot as well. As soon as Morii's thinking about it or he's circling away, he grabs onto that hip and just blasts him into the cage, owning those hips.
Deep on those entries that you're almost, you know, there's only one way to go and it's down.
Yeah, he almost goes through guys.
Absolutely, with the cage there, even better, working in his favor. Oh, Morii doing a great job to get that knee back. That's definitely your first point of call if you want to get back to your feet. And you can use the cage to your advantage as well. And as he did just then, that's great fight IQ from someone so young in their career.
And yet again, Q-State Electrical sponsoring this fight. They are the one-stop shop for residential and commercial electrical. No job is too big or too small. Head to qstateelectrical.com.au to get in contact with the team.
Tsubasa doing a really good job of staying on his feet and keeping his balance thus far. You know, Jack's got to be pretty relentless. He's pretty great at his weight distribution and knowing where to take things, but Morii's staying strong thus far.
When you fight a guy like Jack James, he's going to get his grappling off sometimes. It's almost like you've got to make him earn every little last bit of it, and it looks like Morii that's exactly what he's trying to do. At least zap the gas tank at the very least. Jack James showing no sign of diverting from this path. He's going to make Morii work to escape, or he'll spend 3 rounds doing exactly this.
Absolutely. We've already chewed up 2 minutes of this second round. Another takedown attempt by Jack. Not as deep as the other entries that he's been able to get. Morii's kind of figured out his weight distribution and sort of been able to control where his hips sit for the time being.
Yeah, he's right in that corner there, so they're probably giving him some fantastic advice. we have seen a little bit of an improvement in his ability to keep Jack at least off him enough to stay upright.
This might be another time, Jake, that we see that frame being utilised and could be utilised even for Morii at this stage, just to create some space and get his hips out so that he can make his way back into the centre of the cage.
Yeah, I agree. Sometimes it is just shaking it up and changing and showing something else, because you're in a stalemate against the cage, but the cage is arguably a spot where you are losing.
Absolutely. I mean, you're not taking too much damage here and you're not getting taken down, but you're also not winning at the same time. So it's one of those things. It's interpretive in martial arts, and that's been the theme of the last couple of months this year of bad judging decisions. And this is one of those positions that makes it a little bit questionable. Which way is it going to go? And is this how you win fights?
100%. Jack James doing enough to keep them against the cage. He's staying busy with those knees. Morii almost just fending him off. And that is beautiful. We almost alluded to it there. He turned the overhook into a single collar tie with a knee to follow. Sometimes that's just what you need to do to get the grappler's respect.
Exactly. Nice and sharp knee. It may not have put Jack down, but it definitely made him a little bit hesitant on his entry and gave Morii enough time to get his legs nice and spread so that he could defend that third takedown attempt.
Fantastic head control there from Jack James. How much does head control mean, Jaden? It's huge, isn't it, against the cage?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's also exhausting to be on the receiving end. Morii did attempt to like hip throw Jack there, like some sort of a Uchimara hip throw, which would have liked to see him go for that earlier. He's been pinned here for a long time and he hasn't really utilized his overhook much.
Even if you don't get that hip throw, it creates a great little scramble, gets your opponent sort of off balance and sometimes gives you enough opportunity to get an underhook or scoot your hips back into the center.
Morii just getting a slight bit of daylight, and Jack James taking it away again. Shoots down for the legs. Morii just fights to bring him back up into a clinch.
It is professional fighting, so I would love to see some elbows. There we go. Jack almost read my mind.
Morii just trying to make up for lost time in that second round. In any event, most likely 2 rounds down, he has to go for broke, in my opinion, because Jack James is having his way with him. It hasn't been pretty up to this point, but it is up to Morii to be able to get him off him and fight the fight that he wants.
Absolutely. I think Jack expected a little bit more success in that second round, and I was also surprised to not see him take it to the ground like he so easily did in the first round. I guess Morii knows that that's not where he wants to be. It's Backpack City, and he doesn't want to sit there for very long.
And if you're Jack James, why would you deviate from the path? It's proven so successful from here. Sometimes it's not all about damaging and hurting your opponent. It's doing enough to take your opponent out of the game. And that's exactly what he's done. He has the skills to shut down Morii. I can't think of a single time where Jack has been in danger in this fight.
Absolutely. Both boys look pretty fresh considering coming into the third round as well. So it'll be interesting to see where it goes.
Will we see Morii go for broke? He has that traditional martial arts stance almost, with the chin up in the air, and it looks like, oh, and there's a hook there from Morii, who might give him a little bit of vigor into some of his strikes. See if he can take this fight away.
Definitely.
Oh! And just when you think striking is a good idea.
Jack is feeding into this game plan. He's like, I can strike too. I'm not just a black belt, but perfect setup for a nice double leg entry. Morii doing well to split his legs.
I thought we were going to see, with the upright head of Morii, with Jack shooting so much, I thought we were going to see him shoot and throw the overhand over the top, but he makes good on the shot. Some of those right hands from Jack were just slightly short of the mark.
As you said, Jaden, the hip toss is a good option here. What else would you like to see from Morii to sort of change it up and make this position a little bit more exciting?
Yeah, like you said, even if it doesn't work, it will create a scramble, which is exactly what Morii needs right now because, like you said, Jake, he's probably not got the first 2 rounds, so he really needs to make something happen now.
Yeah, at this point in time, you're losing anyway. Like try that hip toss. You might get space. You might break from the cage. You might get a scramble happening. But it's better than this. It has to be better than this. It's been 2 rounds of this.
He's getting some knees through in this clinch, even though he is on the cage and losing this position, but sometimes some of those knees can wear your opponent down.
And it seems to compound it, doesn't it? After you've done 15 minutes of fighting, those knees, they don't look like much, but you're breathing, you're heaving. I mean, your body is just crying out from the pain of cardio, that those knees, it's almost like 100 times the amount that it would normally feel like. It's exhausting.
Absolutely, especially if you're not prepared or tense for the impact of the knee. It takes it out of you a little bit more. Another takedown attempt by Jack. Unfortunately not as successful as he was earlier in this fight.
And Morii really making some of those adjustments. He's pummeling well. He's using that underhook.
Double unders for Jack here.
As soon as one of those hands is in a free position, though, Jack is throwing those punches up, and they do add up.
Definitely. Like we said, this isn't the prettiest position, but at the end of the day, Jack's definitely dominating it. He's striking, he's working on his attempts for the takedown, and he's still holding that perfect head control with a bit of a body lock.
Make no mistake, it is the onus of Morii to be able to turn this round and get back in the fight. Jack with the winning formula. And it's just so difficult. You get to see, for Morii to even fight for anything, to get anything back, to get a wrist back, to be able to fight and get a grip back, it's a fight in itself. So he's almost 4 fights deep. He's losing the position on the cage. He's losing the head control. He's losing the grip fight.
I think it is a little bit of a testament to Morii's immaturity in his career, where he's keeping those hips faced the one way the entire time. There is an opening to switch it the opposite direction. That gives him a little bit of space, or at least gives him the opportunity to try work for the far underhook and maybe turn this position around. He's not even really trying for that. He's just kind of accepting this position at the moment, and therefore he's just getting pitter-patted.
It's just the onslaught of Jack James. I mean, he's almost made him gun-shy in more ways than one.
There's that Uchi attempt that we talked about. Would love to see more of that, or a little bit more commitment of it. Get Jack James hopping at least.
Yeah, and to your point, he's had that underhook for a while. He could shift his hips, turn that underhook exactly into a single collar tie, use it to turn.
Instead he uses it for some knees, and that keeps his hips right directly in front of Jack James. And
to your point, just some of that lack of experience possibly. He chose to throw from the cage at this.
We talked earlier in the night about how this is a well-utilised position, a position we see a lot, but only some teams are really working their wall and cage defence and offence.
The Courage Training Centre is absolutely one of them.
Absolutely. We can see all the points of contact. Jack James, head control, far body control. He's got that underhook nice and deep. He brings it up. He sometimes grabs the hip, and then he goes down for the takedown attempt.
Really good knee from Morii, but then he just ends up back against the cage, and it seems to be the same old story. Even now, you should be breaking, hoping for a head kick, something, because that is 3 rounds down.
He's now got sucked into the game.
Absolutely.
That was bell to bell, pretty much all Jack James.
I think it just alluded to what you just said at the end. It was just Morii getting sucked into the game of Jack James.
I remember that myself earlier in my fight career, kind of getting fed into what other people wanted to do, and just because I guess maybe your ego or whatever, you can prove that they can be successful, you think to nullify that you need to be successful. It doesn't do you any justice, and you kind of need to go back to your strengths and what works for you. And in this case for Morii, it was definitely the striking, and obviously for Jack it was the grappling and the cage control. So one needed to give, and it looks like Jack was victorious in that.
100%. Jack James just doing exactly what he needed to. I mean, you can call that one a success. He could fight tomorrow. I don't think he took any damage in that one. No injuries. He was the aggressor the whole time. And Morii was just fighting for survival. But a fantastic learning experience for him.
already so early in his career, traveling overseas, getting used to different climates, different times of the year and all that sort of thing. And on unfamiliar soil, it's exciting to see what happens next.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get set to make this one official. Put your hands together for our two fighters here. Our co-main of the night. This one proudly sponsored by Q State Electrical. We go to the judges' scorecards. Two of our judges scored the contest 30-27, and our third judge scored the contest 30-26. All to your winner by unanimous decision, and it goes to the red corner, Jack Bricktop James. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll grab a few words with our winner. A very happy winner at that first international fight and first international win.
Yeah, thank you, Beatdown Promotions. Thank you all my team. Thanks for giving me an international opponent. It felt really special, the whole lead up to this and putting in all the training.
Talk us through that fight. It's one you had to be patient, you had a pretty clear game plan, and look, I suppose easy to say from the outside, but it looked like it all went to script for you.
Yeah, the game plan was definitely be a bit more active. I'm a little bit scared when I go out the back, and Coach Bone's he's gonna have a fair few words for me. But I suppose at the end of the day, we're winning fights, but it's still pretty bittersweet. I would have wanted to put more work in, but I mean, just how it went.
But you are continuing to build momentum. Your career, it's moving in the right direction.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe that's just another skill, trying to practice being really patient, maybe not taking too many risks, but it's not about that. We've got to take risks and we've got to improve ourselves, which maybe I didn't do this time, but we'll work on it and we'll do it next time.
But at the same time, was it a really good learning fight for you?
Yeah, really good learning fight. I just want to say thanks to all my sponsors as well, James Construction Queensland, Kai Signs, Bell Property, Strangle, May Meats, always helping me out, giving me heaps of meat, but also all my coaches and training partners. Machine Gun Joe, we got Declan, we got Coach Bone, Linda helping out all the time at the gym, and I got so many training partners. Everyone that's here tonight sporting, give me a big woo! Woo! Thanks for coming out. Johnny was helping me out so much yesterday too in the sauna. Thanks, Johnny.
Woo! Congratulations. Put your hands together, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pretty happy Bricktop. Jack James goes on his winning way.